I've been in this building almost every Sunday since I can remember. My older brother was part of the preschool group that built the little hut out in the playground in 2009. I went to preschool here with Miss Sue in 2011. I've been through the entire RE program. My father's ashes are spread out by the labyrinth. Throughout my childhood, Unitarian Universalism meant this building. I'm not sure how many of you know me, or maybe my mother, but my name is Cecilia Smith. Most of you know me as Sawyer or Miss Sawyer. I work in the elementary school room and the nursery. I've been going to church here since I was born. Though it feels strange to call this place a church, the dynamic of our community and the way we interact with the world and with each other doesn't remind me at all of what a church is supposed to look like, or at least what a traditional Catholic church looks like. I've gone through every level of RE in the school-age OWL programs under Miss Laura and Charles, and then Miss Nicole when we got closer to quarantine. By the time Melissa had become the new DRE, I was 15 and old enough to start working like many of the other high schoolers. At the time, we didn't really have a high school youth group because most of the teens had chosen to become paid staff instead. I started working with Melissa, and we rarely had consistent attendance or enough kids for a full lesson. Instead, we spent a lot of our time cleaning classrooms, throwing away unsafe materials, and trying our best to improve for the space for the kids who were there. We spent months organizing and rebuilding things. After Melissa left, I helped hold parts of the program together until Captain Layla came in and finally had the opportunity to make the RE program more safer and stable for everybody. When I was 16, I had been going in and out of doctors' offices for months and before eventually being diagnosed with a condition that meant I needed skull surgery. I needed to remove part of my skull and spine so my brain would have more space. The surgery was moved up to a month before it was planned because of my headaches had become so severe that I could barely stand. The surgery was successful and I no longer get those world-ending headaches. But less than a week after being discharged, new issues appeared. I suddenly could barely walk. I was diagnosed with a neurological disorder that causes me to lose control of my legs and when my body reacts to stress or fear. It's something I may deal with for the rest of my life unless I somehow learn to understand something I can't even fully imagine comprehending yet. So I started using a wheelchair. I went to physical therapy. I started walking again. Then I started struggling again. I know I'll probably use my cane and my wheelchair on and off for the rest of my life. And I'm still not entirely sure how to handle that yet. I started working back at the church again after I recovered from my surgery and was able to walk more consistently. Around that same time, things in my family started changing. My older brother had moved away to college and stopped coming regularly. My younger brother lost interest in church altogether, and eventually my mom stopped coming for many reasons. I don't think I truly started to think about what being Unitarian Universalist meant until I started coming here alone. When I was younger and other kids asked me if I believed in God, I would say no, and they would make fun of me for it. Last year, I tried participating in the coming of age program with the middle schoolers, but I'd realized I had already gone through a lot of the identity crisis and difficult experiences that forced me to figure out who I were before then. In a lot of ways, I felt older than I was supposed to. Being the only one my age at church, I always felt on the edge of everything. I know I don't believe in God. I don't believe everything happens for a reason, but I do believe that energy cannot be created or destroyed. My mother used to tell me that butterflies were my father's energy checking on us. So when one landed on my shoulder or sat beside me in the car, I felt like it was him making sure I was safe and apologizing for not being there. I believe in treating people with the respect they deserve. I believe everyone has a reason for what they do. Not necessarily that they are right or that I agree with them, but that they believe that they are doing what is right in their own minds. Throughout the RE programs, I have learned to value the person behind the action. I learned how everyone is connected in some way. I think the biggest thing I learned through our RE programs is that growing up in this community is that belief, and in my time growing up in this community, is that belief and spirituality is a never-ending journey. There is always more you can learn about yourself and the world around you. I value this kind of community in so many ways, and I'm so lucky to have grown up being taught to be curious about everything. I've come to learn so much about myself. As I write this, I'm looking at the end of my time here, at the end of my childhood. I'm thinking about my prom, my last day of school, my cap and gown, my swimming varsity patch for my sophomore year, my final recital. The world looks nothing like what I imagined my senior year would be. I'm disabled. I've been rejected by parts of my high school because of that disability. I've lost many friends because people were unwilling to understand or learn about what I was going through. Regardless, I'm moving forward. I'm committed to a university in Rhode Island this fall. I was accepted to every school I applied to. I received a $25,000 annual scholarship to study marine biology at Roger Williams University, less than 20 minutes from a beach and 20 feet from the bay. I'm excited for the life I've built for myself, despite the terrible hand I was dealt. I know I will always return here, to the place where my father is, where I felt at home for so long, and where people chose to care about me through every version of myself. I found friends who made some days something I look forward to. I found people whose opinions I value deeply, and a grandfather figure who entered my life and chose to become part of my family. I'm glad to be moving forward, but I know I will always come home, and I will always look for community wherever I go, like ours.